Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am going to finally make a video about the solar setup. If you watched last week's video, I talked a lot about the problems that I had in Vermont and what I was doing to fix those problems. So the battery was dead. I ordered a new battery. Thank God that was the problem, because I was worried that we had done something wrong or something bigger was going to be broken or hooked up wrong or something. So I'm very grateful that the only thing wrong was the battery. So we've received the new battery. We've hooked it up. We did it right this time, and everything is working amazing. Better than I ever could have expected. So I'm very excited to share our full solar setup. I know that it's very complicated and I know that I might not get everything 100% right, so please bear with me. I'm not an expert, so feel free to correct me if I do say something wrong, but I'm going to attempt to explain it all to you, or at least show what my van is set up to do, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's take a look. Okay, so I forgot to mention, but the solar panel installation, that the day when we put them on the roof, was a long time ago. So I did film, so I'm going to insert those clips now, and then after that I will go over everything. But I've never shown you guys those clips, so please enjoy. Those will be in there right now. So, as you can see, we have the fan running up here. I don't know if you can kind of see it. And that is because the solar panels are working, and it makes me immeasurably happy. Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys right now. So the first thing with the solar panels is that they're obviously mounted on the roof, and then through a little cavity here, they come down. Let me scooch over a little. They come down right through here, all the way down to all of the other solar things down there. So that is where that wire is. So I'm going to take you guys to the back so you can get a better view of everything that is set up here. So before I get into all of the equipment and what it all does, I just want to give you a little bit of a briefing on what some of these terms that I'm going to be using mean if you aren't already familiar with them. So when I say DC power and AC power, those are going to be two separate systems basically. So the DC power is going to be anything that's hooked up to the batteries, and the AC power is something like a house plug. That is going to be the inverter here. So when I say DC and AC, that's what I mean. And also shore power, which means I'm plugged in to a campsite. So I have outside power coming in, and that's also going to be AC. So just so you know what those terms mean. The first thing that happens is the solar panels collect sunlight, obviously, and it comes down to here through this charge controller. And this here is a 40 amp MPPT charge controller. It's called the Rover, and it's from Renogy. This video is not sponsored by Renogy, but I did buy pretty much everything from them or on Amazon through Renogy. So the charge controller here, basically what it does is it controls the amount of electricity that's flowing from the solar panels to the battery, because if there's too much, then that's going to be bad for the batteries, and it's also going to be very wasteful. So that's what that does. It's very important. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can show you. So another thing that the charge controller does is it has this display on there. It shows me everything I would need to know about the system. So right now it's showing me, I can look at how much voltage the solar panels are taking in. Right now the sun's going down, so it's taking about 14.7. When it's full sun, it can get as high as like 18.5, 18.7, which is really awesome. And what the battery's percentage is at, which right now it's at a 92, because it's not at full sun. And then it also tells me the voltage of the battery, which is going to be at 13.0 right now, still pretty great. It also tells me if there's any error messages or anything like that. So this is a very awesome machine. It's also Bluetooth compatible, so I have it on my app. I can just look and see what the batteries are at instead of having to go back here and check it every single time. The next thing is the charge controller connects to the batteries. My setup, I have two 6-volt deep cycle AGM batteries. I am very happy with the setup. I did talk to someone who told me I went way overboard with my setup, but that is okay. I'm fine with going overboard because if I ever decide that I want to move into like a tiny home or somewhere off-grid, I can take all this stuff out and I can use it for that, and I can expand my solar setup. I did not buy the Renogy batteries, the Renogy brand batteries. However, these batteries were on their website as one of the ones that they sold, so they are backed by Renogy as being a reputable brand for batteries. And after the whole other thing that happened, these have been really awesome so far. And then here comes the optional part. You don't need an inverter, but I do have an inverter. This here is a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter from Renogy. This is where things get a little more complex and I might leave some things out or might explain something wrong. I'm going to try my very best. So this is for powering my plugs, so AC power. So if I turn this off, I can still run all the lights, the fridge, the fan. If I want to plug something into the wall using a regular plug, which I believe I have 4 of, I have to have this be on. So if I want to charge my phone, charge my laptop, run a blender, anything like that, I have to have this baby on. The other thing that it does is this, one of the reasons I bought this more expensive one is it's actually an inverter charger combined. So what this can do is, if this is on and I plug my van into a campsite or at my parents' house like it is most of the time these days, this thing can sense automatically, as well as the fridge and the charge controller, if I'm plugged into shore power or if I'm running on solar, which is awesome because if you don't have something like this, you would have to have a switch that tells the systems, hey, I'm running off of AC now, not DC, so you need to take that into account. But this one just does it automatically, which is one of the big draws that pulled me to this machine. We did check, and this inverter and most inverters does have a draw on the battery, even when it's not using any of the plugs or anything, just to run itself. It's about 8 to 13% depending on how hard it's running or what mode it's set to, because it can be in power saver mode or regular mode. So that is something to take into account. If I do need to run the inverter, it would be something that would also be drawing on the batteries. From the inverter, it goes down to this fuse box here, and that is where all of my appliances are plugged into. So the fridge, the lights, all of the plugs on the wall, the water pump, everything like that is through here. So that is a way to protect things from surges and things like that. And then these are just 2 breakers here to shut the fridge off and the plugs off separately. So that is my solar setup. I hope that I explained everything well. I did not get into a lot of detail because honestly I'm not an expert, and I'm sure I could find somebody to explain it much better. I'm sure there are much better videos out there, but if you're interested in my build specifically and me and what this all is about, then that is all I really know. So alright, that is it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching and following along. I hope that that answered some questions, but I know that I'm not an expert. So if you have any more questions, feel free to comment down below, shoot me a message. But thank you so much for watching, and we're getting pretty close to the end here. I'm very excited. We have the cabinets going in, or they're getting built right now for under the bed. The under storage of the kitchen is almost finished. Quick word about the trip I'm taking in September, like falling over right now. Quick word about that. I am going to try to vlog my experience in Bali and of the yoga teacher training and flying all the way to Bali, leaving the country for the first time in my life besides Canada. And I'm very excited. I'm gonna try to get a smaller camera or borrow it from somebody while I'm there, because I don't want to bring my big clunky camera with me and carry it around. So I'm gonna try to do that, but if not, I will be on Instagram posting all about it. So if you're curious about my Bali trip in a month, please follow me on Instagram, emma.goes, and it would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Adios!